Hi everyone, my name is Layla, and today I'm going to be just telling you guys about my research topic. My research topic is social media use and mental health in teens, and today I'll be exploring the relationships between screen times, anxiety, depression, and also self-esteem. Okay, so in my introduction, I provided a brief background on the topic and explain why it matters. But teenagers today often spend several hours, averaging between 3 and 8 hours a day on social media. Platforms like TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, anything that you can think of, the teenagers probably on. Because social media is such a major part, not only in teenagers' life, but also our life as well, it has excuse me, it has the power to influence their emotions, their behavior, and mental well-being. Mental health concerns among teenagers, such as anxiety, depression, and low self-esteem, has also increased in recent years. This makes it important to understand whether social media is contributing to these issues and how it should be shaping in teenagers' lives. So here's my research problem and the research question. So today there still is a growing concern that that heavy social media use can be linked to higher levels of anxiety and depression in teenagers, but the relationship is fully not understandable. So my research question is, how is social media used to associate with levels of anxiety and depression in teenagers ranging from 13 and 18? So, excuse me. So here is a brief literature understanding. So three studies that I found. There's 3 studies that I found that had a major standout to me. The problem that I'm focusing on is concerning that social media may negatively impact the mental health of teenagers. Even through social media can provide connections in entertainment, it also can create compression, pressure, and emotional stress. My research guideline guided by 2 main questions, which is, how does social media use relate to anxiety, depression, and self-esteem in teenagers, and are certain types of social media activities such as scrolling, posting, or comparing more strong linked to negative health in teenagers today. So this is the purpose of my research. So my purpose is to examine the relationship between social media use and mental health. Mental health problems like anxiety and depression in teenagers. So the significance of it. The significance is schools can help parents and counselors better understand risk and protective factors related to teen social media. And it adds to the academic research on adolescent mental health and technology. Excuse me. So here's my research design. My study uses a quantitative correlations research design. This approach fits my research questions because I want to measure relationships between variables, specifically social media behaviors and mental health scores. So I am not trying to manipulate any conditions at all, only observe existing patterns that there is in teenagers. A correlation design is appropriate for identifying this and between the independent and dependent variables in a natural setting. So this is my hypotenuse. My hypotenuse is that teenagers should spend more time on social media, especially on passive activities like scrolling or even comparing themselves to other people, will show higher levels of anxiety and depression and lower levels of self-esteem. I also predict that active use, such as messaging friends or creating content, will have fewer negative effects. This hypothesis is based on patterns that I found in previous researches. So basically my first hypothesis is teens who spend more hours per day on social media will report higher levels of anxiety. My hypothesis 2 is teens who spend more hours per day on social media will report higher levels of depressive symptoms. And then prior research shows between heavy social media use, social compressions and negative moods in adolescence. So this is something that has been shown before. This is something that is an ongoing occurrence of an issue. This is not just something that randomly happened. This is a problem that's been happening for a while. Variables and measurables. So in my study, the independent variable in social media use. This includes daily screen time and type of activities such as posting, scrolling, or comparing. The dependent variables are anxiety levels. So anxiety levels and depressant levels. So I will measure these using validated scales. So something that's validated, something that's real, something that's known to be, something that could establish tools increasing accurate and allowing me to analyze the pattern across participants. So participants and samples. So the population, teenagers and ages 13 through 18, there's approximately 80 to 100 teenagers recruited from local middle schools and high schools and youth programs. The sampling techniques will be convinced sampling, so meaning participants will be recruited from local schools, communities, centers, or online surveys. This sample is appropriate because teens are the population directly affected by the research problem that I'm researching today. Data collection method. So the data collection method, I will be collecting data using an anonymous online survey. So this survey will include questions about social media, uses patterns, and the mental health scales mentioned earlier. So this method is effective for reaching a large amount of teens and allowing them to answer completely honest, especially since it's anonymous. So data would be collected over about 1 to 2 weeks, depending on the participation rates. And survey also reduces pressure on teens and ensures confidentiality. So, because this study involves minors, ethical standards are extremely important. I will abstain information consent from participants and parental consent which is needed. All response will be anonymous. This whole thing is going to be anonymous. It doesn't have to be what's your name? I don't need your social security number. It's not none of that. It's just completely anonymous, no names on survey. Only thing is the use of ID numbers only. And potential risk, there are some questions about mental health could cause mild discomfort in some teens. So it's, at the end of the day, this is totally optional, but I will provide information for school counselors or hotlines if students do feel upset from this. And by this, I will follow school follow school and instructors' guidelines, and obtain ethical approval if required, if it is required to do. Okay, so today, validity. So use established validity scales for anxiety and depression. So make sure survey questions clearly match what the constructions. So and then the reliability. So I will use scales for known variability. So something that, variability. I just want to ensure everybody throughout my whole study that this is trustworthy, and I will check consistently in responses and use clear instructions to reduce confusions. These steps strengthen the accuracy and credibility of the study. Okay, so data analysis. For my data analysis, I will use quantitative analysis, such as, it means standard deviations in frequency for social media use as anxiety and depression. And correctional analysis to examine relationships between social media and behaviors in mental health scores. I may also use regulation analysis to determine which activities predict anxiety and depression. So what app really brings that out more into teens, and what also brings it more, and what also brings it out less. So software such as SPSS or Excel can be used to run these calculations. The analysis will help me answer whether certain social media behaviors are more harmful than others. And here's the procedure behind it. So clear data, check for missing values, and run statistical tests to answer this research question. And the limitations. So my study has a few limitations. First, all data is self-reported. So teens may underreport their emotions or screen time. Second, a correlation study cannot prove cause and effect. So it could only show relationships. Third, my sample may not represent all teenagers everywhere, despite these limitations. The study still provides valuable insight into patterns of mental health outcomes connected to social media. So here's a self-report bias. Teens might under or over-report social media use or mental health systems, and short scales may not capture the full complexity of mental health. So here are the expected results of this whole thing. So I expect to find a higher level of social media use, especially passive behaviors like scrolling and and comparing. With higher anxiety and depression and lower self-esteem levels, I also expect that active or creative social media may have fewer negative effects. These results would support the idea that how teens use social media matters more than simple how much time they really spend online. And thank you so much. I am open to any questions, and I thank you for your time and on my PowerPoint here. And I thank you so much, and hope you have a good rest of your day. Thank you.